As you can see, there's the trail back that way. We're just giving them something yummy to eat.
Beat out the end back there.
October the 15th starts bow season
That's a good sign right there.
here in Alabama.
See that?
Oh yes, looky there. Good signs, good signs. Now we're going to change the card out on the camera and see what's been coming through here the last few days.
Alright, we got the card changed out. We're going to head back out and we'll post some pictures from here in the video. Get our card out of here and maybe pick us a tree out where we're going to put a climber when we come back in here on Thursday. If there's some deer sign on this thing. Got plenty of pine trees here to choose from, so we'll pick one of these, got a little bit of cover, maybe right over in here. Still be able to shoot out here. Tree right here. We got a young white oak which is loaded with acorns. If we can zoom in on those acorns on this branch here, it's just loaded down. Unusual for a tree that small to be that loaded. It's loaded down with acorns just all over it. So they're not dropping yet, but hopefully within a couple of weeks, probably by the time October 25th rolls around, these will be dropping on the ground for our either sex season. So this will probably be a good hot spot here. All right, so we checked that last spot, checked the card on the camera, had some pretty good bucks on there, a couple small ones, and pretty good 8-point that I'd sure like to take with my bow. Just coming up to a food plot, we planted in about 10 days. We checked it, I guess Tuesday, so we checked it about 6 days ago, 5 days ago, and it was starting to turn green, so pretty anxious to see how it's turning out, how it's doing good now.
Ooh, sweet.
Yeah, about 10 days old. Looks like it's already a couple inches tall. So I'm gonna walk down here and check this feeder out, make sure the battery's still good, and don't have a card on this one, but I can at least look around and the camera on this, and I can at least look around and see what kind of tracks are in the plot and make sure the feeder's working right. So hang with us, and we got another spot we're gonna go to. We got to change the spinner out on a feeder that's not working right. So just getting ready. Hunting season's close.
Look at all these tracks. This plot is loaded with tracks.
We actually planted, my daddy wanted some purple top turnips planted, and we planted those right down this edge right here. So if we look, that's what that's going to be. So the purple top turnips are coming up too. He wanted to see if they would grow.
Well, he'll be very happy to see that.
Yeah, he will. This thing a time or two. Looks like they're hanging around it, so it must be putting something out. Still got corn in it. We might increase the run time on it now since hunting season's almost here. Make it run a little longer. Put a little more corn out. Looks like the battery's still good. Feeder's already on 10 seconds each time, so we're gonna leave it right there. You might want to back up. I'm gonna run this feeder one time there. So 4, 3, 2. It's fixing to spin corn out. Yeah, looking good.
Looking good, and that right there is why we have this whole plot loaded with these tracks from all around. Look at these tracks we got coming and going. Lots of tracks. Very good sight to see.
Alright, so we're good on our feeder here. Now we got deer come from a couple of different directions on this plot. Typically, last year we had 6 or 7 does that would come out of this end right here beside us under this oak tree. Probably going to end up putting a lock on stand in that tree to bow hunt it, even hunt this end. And the only bucks I've seen on this plot on the camera when I had out here last year was actually right behind this oak tree as well. Only bucks I've seen here when I was hunting was some small bucks that actually came in the road right beside the truck and came to this end. At the time there wasn't even a feeder out here, but for some reason they like this back end. There's a really good trail comes in right here, and a really good trail comes in over here to my right a little bit. So for bow hunting we want to hang to this end. For rifle hunting we actually got, my dad picked up a sleeper cab off of a semi and we're converting it to a shooting house. It's going to go on the south end of this plot, which will be the other end that way.
We're securing back up now so those raccoons don't steal all of our corn. We can have enough in there to our next trip up to check it.
Yeah, it's actually doing good. This is doing its job, because if the raccoons had been here, they would have emptied this thing out now. They get a hold of that spinner and spin the corn right out. This is going to be a good spot. Need to get a camera in here and see if there's any bucks coming in. If not, a couple of weeks it's either 6 for archery and we'll be after some does. Fill the freezer.
We have a new feeder on this plot, and we've been trying a new little gadget, which Jeremy will explain. But it doesn't seem to be working properly, so we're going to do some adjustments. Get it working.
Yeah, so this spot is somewhere we hunted last year as well, last 2 seasons, and haven't seen a lot of deer in here. And basically, this is the only place I have on the property that has a good enough cell signal to send pictures. And so we have one of the Tacticam reveal cameras here. Does a great job, but if I've learned that if I go more than 2 or 3 days, or more than a day really, without pictures, something's wrong. It's not putting corn out. And this feeder is a new one that we bought this year. The spinner actually has a weighted system that pulls down away from the cone so that it puts corn out. It's supposed to be a varmint preventer to keep the coons from being able to get corn out. But what we found is it takes a lot of battery power to operate it, and it actually sticks sometimes. And so I think right now it's stuck again. So what I'm going to do is put a regular standard spinner on it, and the coons may get my corn until I can put some chicken wire around it, but at least the deer have corn to eat. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to swap this out. Check, since hunt season opens in 4 days, we're going to check and make sure there's good open shooting lanes to lock on that we've already got in here. So this is what my son calls his honey hole. He thinks this is his spot because he killed his first deer with a bow in here. He's pretty excited about hunting season coming up because I've had a lot of different bucks on this camera. So we got to get some corn out here so they'll keep coming in.
Beautiful, beautiful day out to be doing this prep work on these plots. We have the feeder, which we're going to do some repair on. And if you look right up there is the lock on that Jake has placed. This will be the 2nd year it's up there. And as Jeremy said, Jake has taken possession of this honey hole for himself. So we're going to try to make sure he gets him a good buck in this spot this year.
So just tried to run a test on it. Sure enough, you know, it shows it has some battery, but when it gets around to the timer runs down and gets to 0, it just stops. It doesn't do anything. So my bet is if I do that and try to spin the spinner, it'll help it enough that it'll spin. So 3, 2, 1. Yeah, so literally it doesn't have enough power to turn it. So I'm just going to pull this one. Has to have these spacers in here with this spinner. So I'm going to take these spacers out, and I'm going to just put the standard spinner back on there.
That is beautiful right there. That sun shining through those trees. Beautiful. We have some trees leaning. Typically we have a little underbrush up in here, but we had a storm move through. September 19th, I believe it was. Mid-September, Hurricane Sally. It has done lots of rainfall, lots of wind. It is a gorgeous day today, though. Little breeze. There's our camera on that tree right there. And it looks like my job's about to start. All right, moving in. Got it.
All right, and so while I will say that I've been a little disappointed in this thing because it seems to kill the batteries and not function sometimes, it is simple to change, and they did send this a Wild Game Innovations feeder. They did send both spinners with it, so I guess they were aware, or whether it's simplicity, whatever the reason was. This is the spinner here, and what happens is when it spins around, these weights are supposed to pull the feeder down, pull the spinner down like that. And whether it's because of that extra weight or it sticks, I'm not sure, but we've not had good luck with this particular now. We have another one on another spot that's done better. Hadn't had any problems, but this one has been a problem basically continually since I put it in here. So we're just gonna discard that one. Put the standard feeder back on here. And see if we can't, our standard spinner, see if we can't get us some corn spread out here where it needs to be. And so it basically just has a set screw holds it on. You got a flat that has to line up with that set screw. Slide it down on there. And it's a 2mm metric set screw. Tighten it down, and that's all there is to it. Now, I'll let Kathy slide her hand out of the way. I'll run those in most of the way, but I won't tighten them up until I get my other 2 screws in there. Alright. I do have another battery in the truck, so I have to have it. I'm hoping that now that we change this out, it'll spin without another battery. Change the spinner out, didn't do anything else, still got a battery, wouldn't turn the other one, spins this one just fine. We've already got this camera to feed a couple times a day. Runs 10 seconds at a time, so it's been without corn for about 3 days since I've had a picture, so I'm guessing about 3 days. So we're gonna run it 2 or 3 times. Make sure we get a good amount of corn on the ground here. Picking up all my screws that I left on the ground. One more time ought to be good. And I'm gonna go swap this card out.
And what are we doing now?
So when you switch this thing to the standby or the setup mode, it goes through a search to make sure it has a signal. And so I may not have to, but I always turn it to the setup mode and let it find its signal and make sure it has a signal. And so when I look at it right here, it only has a couple of bars, but I know it's been sending pictures from here. So I'm gonna, as long as I know it's found the signal, I'm gonna go ahead and flip it to on, and I'll close it back up and we're ready to go for pictures. So these cameras are probably the simplest ones I've used. We've been using some cell cameras for a couple of years now, but this camera is extremely simple. And whether it's because of the different antenna on it or whatever it is, we have another one that just won't pick a signal up here. It's no better than our phones are. And yet in this particular spot, my phone's lucky if I have one bar on it. That camera had 2 just now, and I have come through here before and it had 4 bars on it. So whatever it is about that Tacticam Reveal, I've been very pleased with it so far, especially for a $100 camera and $13 a month for unlimited pictures. So it's been a pretty good camera. So I'm gonna check real quick. We actually got probably just about 40 yards from us here, there's a persimmon tree, and that's actually what first brought us to this spot. When we came in behind these oaks here, we found that persimmon tree. That's actually where Jake shot his first deer with his bow, was actually feeding on persimmons there. So I'm gonna check that out real quick since hunting season's a few days away and kind of see what's there and make sure we're prepared for that. So this is actually the tree that Jake was using his climber in when he killed his first deer. And his first deer was actually right there beside the persimmon tree. So just about 5 or 6 steps from the base of his tree is where his first deer was. So that's what bow hunting's all about, getting up close and personal with them. You can see there's still a really good trail here. I've certainly been around it a lot. I think maybe all the persimmons are already gone off of it though. Usually if there's any persimmons on it that are ripe, you can bump it like that and you'll hear a few of them drop off. But I don't see any on it and didn't hear any fall, so I'm betting they're all gone already. So we're going to have to count on acorns and corn. And of course the lock on is right there. Doesn't have a lot of cover from this side, but we're hoping that he gets more coming from the other side and up toward the corn feeder. He's got plenty of cover from that way.
Okay, so I have a question. Okay. So tell me what dug this stump up and would dig down in there for some goodies.
Well, we've actually got pictures of coons and possums and armadillos here, but most likely that's going to be a coon or the deer. Those corn cobs fall, or corn kernels fall down in there, and the deer come in here and then they stick their nose down there trying to get those corn kernels out.
All right.
Bear patch out, it was planted 10 days ago as well, and make sure it looks good. Kind of excited about seeing what's ever seen a lot of deer on that plot, and it gets its name from, we actually had a bear come in there one day and dump our feeder over and eat all our corn out of it. So we nicknamed it the bear patch.
Here we're headed into the bear patch. Looking at this food plot here. And that is nice and sweet green too.
Yep, that's what we're looking for right there. Again, that's about 10 days worth of growth. We put it in here 10 days ago and looking good. That's what we're wanting right there. A couple of inches, so we're gonna get out and check, see if there's any tracks. We got another feeder I'm gonna walk over to and make sure it's running good because it has one of those varmint-proof spinners on it. We're gonna make sure it's still running right and get out of here for the day.
Now we do have 5 food plots and we have 3 spots in the woods. This is the bear patch. And as Jeremy said, it's been dubbed the bear patch because we actually last year had a bear come along and knock over our corn feeder and wiped it out. We haven't seen any signs of him back again. He must have just been passing through. We also have what's called the double boat seat, the south patch,
the center patch, and the bedliner stand.
And the bedliner stand.
The double boat seat is named that because it's got an old tree stand, two old tree stands and a big red oak there that have boat seats in them, so we call it a double boat seat. And then the bedliner stand has a bedliner for a roof. It was there on the property when we got the property as well. And in the south patch is the farthest south, and the center patch is almost in the middle on the north end up here. So the north patch is actually only probably about 150 yards through the woods from the last feeder we were at.
This plot's growing really nice too.
It is. Got a few tracks on it out here. And so this plot I've only hunted a few times, but we've had the deer like to come in on this side, this corner right here, and walk right down this side, and for whatever reason they like to feed in that back end back there, and then they'll come out of that back end in the very tail end of the plot back there and walk up into the plot feeding too. But
and then we have a nice little shooting house right on this corner of the plot.
Now this is the only plot we have set up like this really is we put a feeder straight down the shooting lane from the shooting house, or made a shooting lane. It was an old fire lane, and the reason we done that was we had so many deer coming in this upper end of the plot, and they weren't coming in until right at dark or just right at dark or even just after dark. So we put a feeder just out in the woods a little ways, trying to get them to come in maybe that feeder before dark and cut a shooting lane where maybe we can see them staging out in the woods. So we're going to check and make sure that thing's running like it's supposed to before we get out of here.
This year we missed being able to film all the bush hogging and disking and planting. We will get that on next year's videos though. Share that with y'all.
We do have a game camera in here, which is a spider web right there. We do have a game camera in here, but I only brought 3 cards with me today, so I'm not going to swap that card out right now. I have to wait till I come back up here. But, that's funny. Corn hung in the spider webs. Here's what's really funny. Look at where the coons have climbed this thing, and look at the mud on the feeder where coons have been up here on it. That's funny. That's why you need those farm-proof spinners.
Or the chicken wire setup that your daddy did.
Or the chicken wire. That's probably what these are going to end up with. There you go. So this feeder, actually this battery is older than the one where I just changed the spinner out. So I don't know that there's a problem necessarily with all the spinners, but there was a problem with the one that I had on the other spot. So this feeder's been here for probably about 6 weeks, and that's the original battery, and we've had no problems out of it. So I'm going to change the time a little bit on here, up the time to about 10 seconds, and perk speed, and we're going to let it ride. We're going to test it for a 10-second run there, and we're going to close it up and let her go. 2, 1. Alright, so we got 2 times a day, 10 seconds apiece. We're going to try that and see how it works. Still got plenty of, probably right about half a bucket of feed there, so we'll be good.
This is the shooting house. I might
I opened the door last
take
week.
a chance at poking my head in just to show y'all.
If you want to look right up in the top up here, you'll see. And of course, anybody that's been hunting very long, you know these shooting houses will get wasp nests in them. See them up there.
So we got a nice chair. Looks like we got a little bit of a nest in there too.
Bird nest.
We'll get that all cleaned out.
Yep, that's normal. Getting ready
Kicked
for
out of
season.
there.
Stuff just come in here and clean the shooting houses out, get rid of the V nest and the bird nest. We got till November 21st before gun season starts, so we got a little over a month to get that stuff ready, and pretty much we'll do that stuff while we're up here bow hunting. We'll come up here to hunt in the morning, and then we'll take the middle of the day and we'll come around and straighten some of these shooting houses out and get them ready and go back and hunt the evening. So makes for a good day for us.
All right, that's another plot done on Country Lifestyle.
One more down. We're good. Time to go home now.